Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Paul and I are super excited for today's episode because we're going to be talking about an extremely hot topic in the Amazon space. And what is that topic? Placement fees. Everyone is freaking out about placement fees right now. And we decided to hop on and really have an open discussion about what's going on and what's going to be the best solution for your business, because everyone's business operates differently. So we're going to jump right into this video talking about placement fees, what's going on, and to give you guys a little background, if you're not already selling on Amazon, placement fees are basically Amazon is charging you a fee, depending on the weight, to send the products to a specific location, unless you choose Amazon Optimized, where Amazon will distribute your products across the United States for free. But with that comes freight costs, and we'll kind of jump right into it.
Yeah, and before we get started as well, if you guys are new here, subscribe for more, like, comment, and share. If you like this video, we also have other videos you can check out. And if you have any questions, just let us know. And collectively, between the two of us, Alex and I have grown to over 8-figure businesses. So we're going to be able to try to help as much as we can discuss a topic that can help you and grow your business. So
Paul, I know a lot of people are stressed out about these placement fees. In your business, how are you combating these fees? Are you paying the fees? Do you plan on paying the fees? What is your kind of attack at this situation?
yeah, so this is something for our business that we've been thinking about for quite a while. And we ultimately decided, at least for now, and we're going to be trying this out, to be sending out Amazon optimized splits. It's creating complexity with how inventory comes in. So for example, obviously there's a warehouse here. This is Alex's warehouse. You know, as shipments come in, we want to make sure that we're receiving this inventory and reporting any discrepancies to our vendors. So doing that, it creates complexity with Amazon optimized splits because now there's multiple shipments that are getting shipped out. However, there's multiple reasons we decided to start trying Amazon optimized splits, and we'll kind of talk about it in this video, but it's something that we thought about for a very long time. We went to a lot of different LTL carriers, and we ended up actually getting better rates for our freight costs than what we believe with placement fees and other options.
Yeah, because kind of from my personal experience, we recently created a shipment of around 5,000 units. But what we're realizing in my situation, because maybe we didn't ship enough inventory, is that the freight cost is actually costing just as much as if we were to do a minimal split, meaning that I would send it to a local fulfillment idea. This has kind of been a little kind of back and forth we've had about this whole thing of what's the best thing to do, because nothing is worse than in 45 days getting hit with a large placement bill when you're trying to figure out the profits in your business.
Yeah, and that's exactly why, for me personally, like, we're willing to try out the Amazon optimized splits, because after selling on Amazon for over 5 years, and I've done close to $20 million in sales in that period, I've realized that I can't trust Amazon. Amazon brings in new fees. They mischarge us with products. Maybe the dimensions change, the weight changes, like all these things take place. And for me, I believe that retaining control in my business is really important. So even if on paper, and this is just my thoughts, even on paper, if there is an equal point of saying paying Amazon optimized splits compared to placement fees, who knows if the placement fees are actually correct? Like, are you getting actually billed for the right thing? Are they charging you more than what they're supposed to? Or maybe they're charging you less? For me, I don't want to go through the process of having to audit Amazon to make sure that they're billing me correctly. And for us, we believe that cash flow is extremely important. And for those that are not aware of what cash flow means, all it means in very simple, it's money in and money out. So if you have $10,000 into your business, into your bank account, and you have $8,000 that leaves your business, you have a positive cash flow of $2,000. And for us, cash flow is very, very important, and for many businesses. So we don't like the thought process of Amazon pretty much just billing us for a charge that's probably end up being $4,000 on our account, if not possibly more. And then for us, we're looking at this charge and we're saying, okay, where is this coming from? And auditing them to make sure that we got billed correctly.
Yeah, and it's like the same thing why they have services like Seller Investigators or Jatita, because Amazon's constantly losing our inventory, and there's services like that to prevent it. I wouldn't be surprised if eventually Seller Investigators comes out with a service where they're auditing the placement fees.
Right.
You know, we can never really trust what Amazon is going to bill us. And like Paul says, going through Amazon Optimized is going to be a hassle, is going to take more time. But at the end of the day, it puts the control back to your business rather than Amazon's.
Absolutely. And that's kind of where our thought process is like, you know, if we're working with carriers, we have the ability to pay our carriers, whether we're negotiating terms with our carriers, we can negotiate rates further down. We can ship more inventory, allowing us to drive down our costs. We have the ability to control our business, and it comes back to control. And even some of our carriers, we can pay them with credit cards. So now we're talking about being able to put on American Express Plum, where you have 60 days. We can put on Capital One 2% Spark. We can put on Chase Premier and get cash back for those costs to kind of reduce them a little bit if we're able to. So in our thought process, you know, if we're able to find a way, which we have, to drive down our LTL costs to get it to different locations, it could be the move for our business. Now, it's what's very important to understand is that at the end, there's some people that maybe are doing $1 million months where every single person's situation when they're shipping an inventory is so much different. So just because Amazon Optimize is something that we're doing doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. Doesn't mean it's going to work for the person that's watching this. At the end of the day, what you want to be able to do, in my opinion, is really break down the costs as much as you can to see where it makes sense financially. And with speed.
I think it's something everyone needs to consider, and it all depends on the amount of units you're pushing out. You know, that's a big determining factor. For Paul, if he's able to, I think get 2 large shipments out, a month. Some of you guys aren't unable to have that inventory available or, restricted with cash to be able to purchase that volume. So for you, maybe starting out with your Amazon journey, if you only have $5,000 to $10,000, maybe just eat the minimal and take that 35 cents and factor it into your buying decisions.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's the beauty about softwares like RevSeller, AZ Insight, is that you're able to build those things into your cost. For us, after we ran our numbers, our average cost for everything, shipping to, 5 to 6, 7 different FCs throughout the United States, we're gonna be at around 20 cents a unit on average for every single product that we sell. Which when we ran the numbers, it's going to be cheaper than us paying placement fees because our average weight for the products we sell is anywhere between 1.5 pounds to maybe 3 pounds, which could cost 30 to 50 cents. And then plus shipping it into Amazon too, we could be paying, double the amount of freight costs. Now, the other side of that equation comes back to what you're kind of mentioning earlier, which is speed. Something that's so important in this business is speed. You want to be able to get your inventory into Amazon as fast as you can. And that's something for me, I'm a little bit concerned about with Amazon Optimize, is that what's going to happen? What is that going to look like with shipping out 5 different shipments, the receiving times of different FCs and things of that nature?
And you know what, that's a huge factor too, because if we know that LTL is going to take a much longer time to get into Amazon. Something to also, factor in and to understand is a lot of people are talking about the placement fee, but also Amazon had decreased the FBA fee. So in reality, there's not a major discrepancy. We're just hoping, and we know this will happen, that sellers will start to push up their pricing based on these factors to make it to the point of where it was profitable like before.
At the end of the day, if a seller doesn't do that, and their costs or their cost of goods haven't changed, they're diminishing their own margin. At some point, if you're not raising your prices, at what point are you going to be out of business, right? Like at the end of the day, this business is all about profit. People can show large amounts of revenue and stuff like that, but like if you're netting 0.5 point, 1%, who cares? How much work are you doing to make the money? At the end of the day, you want to be able to net a healthy margin and do enough volume where you can make a lot of money, but you want to be able to adjust and pivot your business to a point where, you can adjust your prices, increase your prices, and also increase your buying requirements, right? Like if we know that all of our costs are increasing by 10, 15, 20, 50 cents, you need to build that into how you're buying. You need to be able to add those additional 25 cents, negotiate with your suppliers a little bit more, find ways to optimize maybe your warehouse or negotiate with your prep center, negotiate with LTL carriers, get better costs for your supplies. Like there's so many different ways to be able to, as a business owner, optimize your costs to bring in more profit and to reduce your expenses. That way it kind of offsets the cost that's increasing.
It's totally spot on. We're going to see an increase in pricing. If others are still pushing down the price, it's going to reflect in their business. And at the end of the day, we're in business to make money and make a profit. So we're going to change based on the market. And, I think another big point that some people have been talking about, especially after Amazon United, was Pattern's middleman service.
Middle mile, yep.
Middle mile.
Yes.
And that's an interesting topic too, because for those that don't know, Pattern is, I think, one of the top.
It's one of the largest.
One of the largest, I think,
Amazon,
top 5 at least.
Yeah, they have like probably 10 to 15 offices around the globe.
And I was talking to a friend of mine, and they are actually sending products to, I think, the Kentucky fulfillment center.
Yes.
So what they're doing is they're shipping all their products to Pattern. Pattern is then splitting it up to meet the optimized kind of requirements. Mm-hmm. And of course, they're going to take a fee for that. But the assumption, I think what people are kind of alluding to, is that it's going to be cheaper to do that than the optimized.
Yes. And the reason why it's going to be cheaper is because they ship around 15 truckloads a day worth of inventory to Amazon. So they have the infrastructure and the scale to be able to ship more inventory and to drive down costs. However, you also got to look at the perspective of Pattern is a brand management service, and nothing against them, but if you're shipping your inventory to a business that is a $1 billion company, they can easily take over any brand that you're selling. They can easily kind of pull out that rug under you. And for me as a business, and what I've learned over the course of, being a business owner for the past 5 years, is that retaining control in your company is so crucial. Like, I cannot stress how important it is to have a grip on your business. And when you lose that control, when mistakes happen, it's very hard to fix them, right? Like, if you have the ability to fix a mistake yourself or have one of your employees do it, it's so much easier to tackle that thing and to do it, because there's no one else. The focus is your business, right? Whereas if there is their inventory and 1,000 different sellers' inventory, when a mistake happens to your inventory, sorry, you got to wait in line.
Yeah.
At that point, it's like, at what point do you have to make a pivot in your company? So I think it is a good option to try out for sellers, but I do believe that kind of building out your own infrastructure for, if that business didn't exist, how would you pivot then, right? Like, have the solution in the back of your mind if you are going to use them on a different pivot. That way, if you need to, you're ready.
And, that's definitely a concern for myself, because we work with a handful of brands. If we're shipping a brand product that we get directly, they might go contact the brand and say, hey, here's a giant purchase order of maybe $1 million. We want to take over the entire listing, optimize it, fix it, and then I'm left in the dust, and I gave them a free lead.
Yes.
Because, these guys are ginormous. I don't know how much do they do a year?
Billions of dollars.
And do we really want to put our inventory in the hands of someone that does billions of dollars worth of sales through Amazon?
Yes.
For me, I get a little fearful. And again, it's that loss of control. All right, if I have an issue in my business where Amazon doesn't receive 200 units I ship to Pattern, do I have to open a case?
Right.
Do I have to wait for support to get back to me? This is, again, losing control over your operations of what's going on.
Yeah. And I do believe that with these changes, it's going to force every single business to think outside the box. Like, you need to start approaching your company in a way of, how do you become more efficient with your inventory? Like, so for us, obviously we're maybe at a different scale than some other sellers out there, but we're shipping double stacked inventory. Like, we are making sure that we are optimizing the space that we have. So if we're shipping LTL and we can put 9 pallets on a location that's going to Las Vegas, we're going to make sure that we can maximize that space going up in the air and not take out more floor space on their trucks to help us drive down our costs. At the end of the day, we need to be creative as sellers to make sure that we're reducing our costs in every single angle possible to increase our margins.
Yeah. And another way to kind of combat this is, people that have employees, they kind of say, let's just get the inventory to get the inventory and start to keep the employees busy. That's something that's always, I've been kind of stressed about, like, keeping everyone busy. But at the end of the day, I need to focus on what's best for my business, especially with placement fees going on. How are we going to maximize our profits when we are up against Amazon with these placement fees?
Right. And at the end of the day, like we mentioned, every single business is different. The strategy is different. You know, for us, we're going to try Amazon Optimize. We're going to ship LTL. We're going to see how it goes. Hopefully it works out well. If it doesn't, we can always revert to doing placement. For people that know me, I am a big full truckload guy. It's something that has been able to really help our business grow, but it seems like it's no longer the best, for right now, the most cost-effective option for my business. Maybe that'll change in the future after we realize, okay, the Amazon Optimize is not as cost-effective as we thought. Let's make a pivot. And that's something as a business owner that you always need to, you know, find ways to do, is how do I pivot, and how do I pivot fast, and know that the pivot is going to work, and you're confident in that pivot.
Yeah. And then, you know, there's also the idea of partial splits. What does that look like? It's important to run the numbers of the costs of the minimal splits, of the partial splits, of the optimized. What are going to be those costs, and calculating them. You know, for us, we're set up, our current shipment of just 5,000 units is set up and optimized, and we're realizing the freight is going to cost more than if we were to do minimal splits, and it's going to get checked in at a slower rate.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do that test to fully understand how we should go about moving forward, and if we're able to send in more inventory, let's say 10,000, 15,000 units at once, maybe Amazon Optimized will be better for us. Again, we're in the testing phase for my business to really figure out what's the best for us and what's the best for the workflow of employees.
Yeah.
You know, making sure now that we have 5 different shipments, things can get a little complicated. Making sure that the correct product is getting put on the correct pallet. You know, I have, you know, workers where English is their second language. So being able to communicate that is so important.
Absolutely. And to kind of finish up, one of the reasons why I also don't want to, at least right now, try placement fees is because I don't want to add to Amazon's additional revenue stream. I don't want to fill their pockets with placement fees and make them realize, wow, this is an opportunity for us to really increase our revenue.
Yeah.
And then they just start increasing more placement fees. Yeah. I know, obviously, for me, it's not going to change anything. But in the back of my head, it's an additional tax that they put on us as sellers, yeah, and make it harder for us to be able to ship inventory in. And obviously, all of us are going to adjust, pivot, and adapt, and that's just a part of being a business owner. But that's just something I wanted to throw in there.
Yeah, we'll start protesting.
That's my protest, you know? Right there, is by not shipping placement.
You know, as we all know, Amazon platform is constantly changing. You either adapt or you die, and that's a part of being an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
You know, that is what's involved in running a business, constantly figuring out better ways to do things.
Yep. And to recap this entire video before we wrap it up, first thing is run your costs, understand your numbers in your business, right? Not just from the perspective of what's the best option for you moving forward, but also from a buying standpoint. You want to make sure that these fees are not going to negatively affect your margin. How do you increase your gross margin? How do you do these things to maintain the same margin, if not grow your margin in your business? It's all very, very important. Every single person is going to experience different paths with this shipment, you know, with the shipment guidelines and what we need to do as sellers. At the end of the day, that's the beauty of social media and networking, is being able to communicate with other people. Like, you know, one of my best friends, Alex, able to bounce off each other's heads and kind of see more or less like what's working for you, what's not working for us within our community, exchanging that too, and just over in social media. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys are new here, please consider subscribing to us. And we love posting content like this and trying to be as real as we possibly can when it comes to Amazon wholesale. You know, for us, we want to be able to help you grow your business. And if you did like the video, like, subscribe, and share.
Perfect. That was solid, dude.
YouTube just like one take, man.